All right, welcome. Today, we're going to break down something you handle almost every single day: money. We're going to follow it on this, well, pretty surprising journey, starting right there in your pocket and going all the way up to the huge policies that steer our entire economy. So let's just dive right in with a big question. You probably think it's all printed by the government, right? And yeah, that's part of the story, but it's only a tiny part. The full picture is way more interesting, and believe it or not, it has everything to do with your bank account. Okay, so before we figure out where money comes from, we've got to agree on what it does. Its most basic job is to be a medium of exchange. It's just the thing we all agree to accept when we sell something, and the thing we use to buy, our morning coffee. It's definitely a lot easier than trying to trade chickens for bread, that's for sure. Money also works as a unit of account. It's like a universal measuring stick for value. A laptop might be, say, 15,000 Rand, and a car could be 300,000 Rand. You and I, we instantly get that comparison, right? No complicated barter math needed. And its third big job is to be a store of value. You can hang on to the money you earn today and have some confidence that it'll still buy you something tomorrow, or next month, or next year. Now, of course, inflation can chew away at that value, but the basic idea still stands. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, and it's a super important distinction. The physical cash in your wallet and, this is the key part, the digital numbers in your bank account, that is money. But things like your credit card, your debit card, even old school checks, they aren't money themselves. Think of them more as tools, like a remote control for moving your money from one place to another. And that little distinction brings us to the biggest, most surprising truth of this whole thing. You can forget that image of giant printing presses working 24/7. The vast, vast majority of money in our economy isn't physical at all. It's digital, and it's created in a place you really might not expect. So here's how it actually works. When you or a business goes and gets a loan, the bank doesn't just pull that cash out of a vault. Nope, it just types some numbers into your account. And in that exact moment, a brand new deposit is created out of thin air. That deposit is new money, money that just didn't exist a second before. So essentially, commercial banks are creating new money every single time they issue a loan. So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If making money is really as simple as just approving a loan, what's to stop the banks from just creating an endless, infinite supply and sending the whole economy into a tailspin? Well, thankfully, there are some really important limits built into the system. The system actually has three main breaks. First, you've got the monetary base. That's all the physical cash plus the deposits commercial banks hold at the central bank. Second, banks are required to hold a certain percentage of their deposits as reserves. They can't just lend out every single cent they have. And third, just the simple fact that we, as people and businesses, choose to hold some of our money as physical cash also puts a limit on the whole process. So who's the one watching over this whole system, making sure it all runs smoothly? Well, in South Africa, that's the job of the South African Reserve Bank, or the SARB. You can really think of them as the economy's conductor, making sure all the different parts are playing in harmony. And their main job is summed up perfectly right here. The SARB's core mission, above everything else, is to achieve price stability. In plain English, that just means keeping the value of our money stable by keeping inflation under control. Usually they aim for a target between 3 and 6%. Now, to hit that target, the SARB has a few tools in its toolbox. We've already touched on one, the cash reserve requirement, which is set at 2.5%. But their most powerful tool, by far, is something called the repo rate. This number right here, 8.25%, you could argue it's one of the most important numbers in the entire economy. It's the repo rate. This is the interest rate that the SARB charges commercial banks when they borrow money. So you can think of it as the wholesale price of money. By raising or lowering this one single rate, the SARB can influence the cost of borrowing for absolutely everyone. Okay, I know. This all sounds a bit high level, right? Central banks, policy rates. But these decisions have a direct real-world impact right on your wallet. Let's break down exactly how a tiny change in the repo rate actually affects you. It's really just a chain reaction, a domino effect. The SARB makes a move on the repo rate. Almost immediately, the commercial banks adjust their own prime lending rates. And just like that, the interest you pay on your home loan, your car financing, or any other credit you have, it either goes up or it goes down. It's the most direct link there is between national economic policy and your personal finances. So here's the bottom line. When the SARB raises interest rates, it's making borrowing more expensive to try and slow down spending and cool down inflation. And when it lowers rates, it's making borrowing cheaper to encourage spending and get the economy growing. It is quite literally tapping on the economy's brakes or hitting the accelerator. And all of this brings us to one last really fundamental question. We've seen that most money is just a digital entry on a bank spreadsheet, created out of thin air by a loan. So, what actually gives it value? Is it a government promise? Is it the stability of our banks? Or is it really just our collective belief